it's not easy because a lot of things that we're lied about is that we're not supposed to suffer, or like you need to stop doing that or leave that person alone because you shouldn't be going through that with them. But love is long suffering. Sometimes we do have to suffer with people and bear with them with where they at until they have their come to Jesus meeting. Because ain't that what God did with us? And ain't that what some people did with us in that space when we was acting like a complete JA? Somebody walked that space out with us in grace and mercy. So it's like, yeah, you are supposed to suffer with people. You are supposed to be patient with other people. But the society that we are in now teaches us to discard, to ghost, to get rid of people. You don't got to take that. You don't got to endure that. Now there is a level that where there are boundaries. We ain't supposed to just let people just, you know what I mean, abuse and misuse us. But sometimes it's okay to have grace for another person while they're walking something out. And in the midst of that, they might lash out on you, but you have grace to forgive them because you remember times when you did that to somebody. Or, you know, they might not be walking it out in perfectness of how they're treating you as a person, but you just giving them some grace and space and mercy to grow in that. And consulting God with how you walk that relationship out. Because there are some spaces that God to tell us, like, yeah, you need to get out of that, leave it, and leave. Because God knows the heart of that person and the whole entirety, and he sees it from the end and the beginning. And there are some spaces that we're going to have to learn to lean into God to develop a level of tolerance for the pain that we have to walk it out in. And that's when the Bible talks about us bearing with one another. A lot of people don't want to talk about that part, but we are to bear with one another while other people are going through, because we're human and we're going to go through. And that's really relieving that expectation that we put on people and putting the expectation back on God of helping me bear with this. And we see that in scripture where God was with the disciples and they were trying to help the little boy that was having a seizure. And they was like, well, why couldn't we rebuke it or call that demon out of the boy? And God is like, you know, you're faithless. And like, how long do I have to be with you and bear this? Like, we see God developing a tolerance in the humanity of God being in the flesh, of developing a tolerance for people. And sometimes we do have to develop a tolerance for people. I don't think that's talked about enough because we're in a place where the first thing people want to do when something go wrong, when they don't do exactly what you say or accommodate you and how you feel or give you what you want, the first thing you want to do is just ghost that person instead of bearing with them. And I think that's something that needs to be talked about. And then also, on the flip side of that, learning to go back to God with the rejection that you just received instead of becoming a bigger monster to defeat it.